Now for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning, we have with us, as usual, Arise News analyst, Dr. Constance Ikuku. Good morning, Doctor.
A very good morning to you, Nkechi. We made it to the end of the week.
Yes, we did. Thank God it's Friday.
Yes, yes, I know. And Charles, how are you today?
I'm very glad it's Friday today. Yes, I'm already inside the weekend.
Yeah, we look forward to it as usual to get some rest. To look at the papers with us today, we have Samuel Odaudu. He is the deputy editor of Blueprint newspaper. Hello there and welcome to the program. We begin with this day as usual. There we have presidency. ADC coalition will only drag Nigeria backward, threaten her democracy. Says promoters are political desperados driven by personal ambition and bitterness. Rufai warns of infiltration plot by APC. Kachku accuses INEC of collusion in ADC crisis. Obi says coalition will put Nigerians first. This rider, which continues on page 37 of this day, is a story in itself. It has a lot packed in there. But what stands out is the APC calling other parties or politicians or the coalition desperados, a party that did exactly the same thing in 2015. And how did we get here that an election that is 2 years away is dominating the headlines almost every day? Before we come to you, Samuel, let's take another story in Leadership newspaper. Here we have the story about the passing of Peter Rufai, a former Super Eagles player, a football legend. He was 61. He's regarded as one of the most iconic players that Nigeria had. He was an excellent goalkeeper. Yes, so you can go ahead, Samuel, on these two articles.
Yes, first and foremost on the issue of the coalition and the reaction of the presidency. One important point that must be made is the fact that looking at the quality of people that came together to form this kind of coalition, it is something that the presidency will need to take seriously. And of course, it is very obvious, like the presidency said, these people, they are a conglomerate of people who are very angry with the president for political reasons. And then I wonder also how this kind of coalition in this context can be successful without the president himself, who we know has been is grounded in opposition politics. It was very fundamental, a key player to the coalition that was formed in 2014. And so we are looking at this scenario. And another very important point is that looking at the profile of these personalities, ex-governors, ex-ministers, we have ex-officials of government, and so on and so forth, you would wonder, what is the new message that these people have for the country? And when you profile them one after the other, you begin to ask, what will Nigeria answer these people that they are going to say? And so we must be very careful with this kind of coalition. And I think for me, the surprise appearance of a personality in the coalition is the chairman of the ADC itself, the former Senate President David Mark. He has been well respected as a principled person, a retired general, an accomplished person in his own right, who has been seen in different contexts. And so I am looking at it, whether it is not a kind of a political or a strategic miscalculation for him to be amongst these people. I also wonder what kind of ideology will these people come up with, because they have different sentiments and they have come together. When we had the coalition in 2014, we had two key persons, the former President Muhammadu Buhari and the present president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself. They represented something that was very strong. We knew that these people were stable in their opposition, and they built their cloud from the base on a very consistent basis, and they showed leadership around which these people follow. But this one, we do not know. But it is very important also for this government to take these people seriously, because these people, they are not joking, and they are coming with full force. It is also important for the government to be very careful that, look, we have to work harder to show something that will contradict whatever narrative this new coalition is going to come up with.
Yeah, a quick comment on the passing of Rufai.
Well, it's Rufai is a very sad story, really. He's a legend. One of the persons who devoted himself to football, soccer, a national team in this country. We remember him in the African Cup of Nations, 94. We remember USA 94. And all, even when he retired, he started a football academy in Lagos, where he committed himself to training the younger ones to take over that baton. And so it is something that the nation must, and the football community must. And as is always the case, it is we should encourage the government to really immortalize Peter Rufai for his immense contributions. And when we encounter this kind of thing, it also brings reflections. We have so many other of his colleagues who we read in quite a number of times. Are they doing well? Do we really care about those who have served this nation properly? We find a many number of our own players who don't even want to play for Nigeria. They are playing for other countries, including athletes.
Okay, Samuel.
So this is a very solemn moment for the nation, really.
Charles, you were laughing. Did you have something to say? Or should we move on to the next paper?
Well, I was when he was talking about the coalition, for me it's like, the APC phenomenon all over again. Previously it was disgruntled members of the People's Democratic Party and the Buhari CPC and Tinubu's political alliance all coming together. This time around is the disgruntled members of the All Progressives Congress, disgruntled members of the People's Democratic Party, and disgruntled politicians from all over Nigeria coming together to take on the Tinubu administration. He was actually very, very much on point with this coalition thing. He said it was because of political reasons, and most definitely, I'm sure it has nothing to do with the state of Nigeria.
Yeah. Okay, Daily Trust, we have two stories to take there again. Coalition members move to exit old parties, and Remi Tinubu returns to Plateau, donate 1 billion naira to victims of attacks. With regard to the coalition and the adoption of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, as a platform, we will be seeing an exodus. It's already happening. Former Governor Rotimi Amechi, Abubakar Malami, Ralph Aregbesola, David Mark, and many others. This is really a major realignment going on. And as for the First Lady, she's been going from one state to the other, pretty much very active with her project, and donated this 1 billion naira to Plateau. They need the funds, so good there. But you have to ask, where is all this money that is being spent coming from? Is this personal funds? Is this government money? If it's government money, questions have to be raised, how they are spent. And Kechi, do you want to make a comment on this?
Yes, like you said, the First Lady has been making a lot of visits to communities that have been devastated with a lot of tension. And I think the message is just to say that, look, the presidency is not sleeping. We are seen to be acting. We're empathizing with the people. We're trying to reach the grassroots. And with the 1 billion naira, I think, donation, yes, they need the money. However, that cash relief, those bags of rice cannot fix that deep root-seated grievances that the people have. The people have already lost that trust when it comes to the state apparatus or security apparatus. So we need to dig deeper and root out the fundamental issues rather than just donating money here and there. Like you said, where is this money coming from? Maybe we need to empower NEMA more, because that is their job, to offer relief to these communities. And I think NEMA as an institution is stretched out, and so we don't really see their impact when it comes to reactions when communities are faced with issues like this.
If I may add here, the First Lady did say that the money is not from the government. She explained that it was funds she was able to raise donations from other sources. And, well, that is plausible enough because, I mean, the higher up you are, the more people are willing to donate to your cause. My problem here is that now that she has donated the money, I sincerely hope that it will be used for the purpose for which she has donated it, or maybe she might just have to take a step further and ensure that there is proper accountability about how these funds are being used.
And you know, to speak to that, the Plateau State Governor, I think he was thinking about it. He did say that they will account for every kobo that has been given to them. But yeah, moving from one state to the other, doing all of this, I guess it's also part of election. You know, you win people by giving them bags of rice, by giving them whatever. Yeah, you know, it's part of the political system, the political ecosystem of Nigeria, and how you prepare ahead of elections. Not saying that people don't need these funds, but you know, let's move to Punch newspaper. Capital projects got only 20% of 25 trillion naira 2024 spending. The thrust here is that despite the rise in government spending, the lion's share of the budget continues to be recurrent expenditures, particularly debt servicing and personal costs. Although revenue has risen by 3.45 trillion naira in 2024, it is still insufficient to cover the rise in expenditure, leading to worrying fiscal deficit. This is an old problem that governments or successive governments have either deliberately sidestepped or simply find it undoable. That is reducing the recurrent expenditure to allow room for more capital spending. But what is more concerning is that that recurrent expenditure has further increased in this government. So essentially, Sama, what are we doing? Is it like an ostrich with its head in the sand? Because it seems like we're not moving in the direction that we should be when it comes to that generating revenue and spending.
You are absolutely right. One of the things that the present government will need to really focus on is move this reform into a budgetary system. Like you rightly pointed out, it is a developing story. We have been on this and we will continue to be on this unless something is done very, very fast. Now, when this government came, it increased capital expenditure, and many people felt this is very wonderful. It's going to spur infrastructure developments and so on and so forth. But now it is big news. We hear only 20% of the capital budget was spent. Now, government is running on deficit. What it collected, the difference between the revenue and what it is spending is almost more than 15 trillion naira. So where is the government going to make the difference? It is borrowing. And then you talked about increasing recurrent expenditure. The public sector is growing. We are not ready to cut down on the cost of governance. You look at what, for example, the allowances or remunerations of public servants, they are very, very high, and they are increasing. Now we have a new minimum wage. How is the government going to accommodate all of that? Now we have debt servicing, which is even the biggest factor here, when about 47, almost 50% of our annual budget will go to servicing of debt. So what is left for the country, rest of the country is approximately 50%. So we are going to share that between the capital expenditure and recurrent expenditure. Now you have this result. So we really, really need to sit up, and I encourage the government to bring this reform. How do we bring and introduce a change into this model? How can we achieve more capital spending in order to ensure that we have road network, we have schools, we have health care, health facilities, we also have other amenities that our people need, and these are the areas through which jobs can be created.
Right. New Telegraph this morning, again 2 stories. INEC gives conditions for election results review. and Anyanwu's reinstatement, Damagu PDP's undertaker, according to a group. So the Independent National Electoral Commission story pertains to the review of election results, and we're told that INEC chairman can set up a review committee upon establishment of prima facie evidence that the results declared violates the Commission's guidelines and regulations. The Commission, consisting of 4 members, is expected to conclude its assignment in 4 days and then recommend to INEC to either uphold the result of the election as declared or conduct a rerun or supplementary election. And it cannot be prevented from carrying out this assignment with a court order. Finally, INEC has to consider the report and make a decision within 6 days after the declaration of results. I don't know. Charles, do you think this will lead to litigations in elections? I mean, which has become quite normal?
Absolutely not, I assure you. And I say that with all sense of modesty. It will not, definitely not do anything about the spate of litigations. The way you elect, I mean, no matter how transparent an election is in Nigeria, somebody would always go to court. And of course, no matter how corrupt the process is, the winner would always challenge the aggrieved. Go to court. So yes, litigations will definitely continue, whatever INEC does.
But what if the process is really fair? And everybody sees that.
Yes, well, I've said it before that no matter how free and fair, no matter how transparent, someone always has to go to court because, I mean, somehow, they think that that is where they would get their own perceived sense of justice. The court is always the arbiter for good or for bad. So unless the judiciary cleans up its own house, Nigerian politicians losing elections would always go to court.
Yeah. Nkechi, go ahead.
No, I think, Alice, you wanted to say something?
Mr. Dowdo.
All right. Yes, I agree with Mr. Charles. I'm talking about these new regulations. I am really surprised because INEC is coming up with this new statement as if we have a new electoral act. This is an act, Electoral Act of 2022. And now it is as if the new section 65 has just been injected into it. No. Why didn't you do this right from the beginning? We are talking about elections that are violating regulations over and over again. We are having incidents of overvoting. We are having so many cases arising from underage voting. We are having so many issues of thumb printing and so on and so forth. So this is, for me, a self-indictment on the side of INEC. Once you have put your own house in order, and then you say you have done the right thing, if it is from security lapse, if it is from other officials that have lapse, then you can say that, look, go to the court, I have done my bit. But coming out now to tell us this, it looks as if they have been doing, mistakes, or they didn't know, or they didn't study their own law before they came out to, bring as if this is a new electoral act we are having.
Okay, we have one last story before we go into the international headlines. It's also the second story in New Telegraph, which is about PDP. So, but let's see it in Daily Independent as well. Damagu to be remembered for presiding over PDP final funeral. This is according to the National Alliance for Democratic Governance, which says the PDP has handed its structures to external forces led by Minister Nyesom Wike, and it is also upset in regard to disrespecting the wishes of the Southeast region. Nkechi, do you have any comment? If you have any comment, anybody has to be very brief. So we'll
just quickly, I think the headline, we're just seeing that. I'm just seeing it now on our screen. It just reminds me of headlines on the pages of UK papers.
Okay.
Very, very theatrical.
But
I think it really paints a picture of how Nigerians, and I think how even some people in the People's Democratic Party sees the party right now. A lot of people are not happy with what's going on in the PDP that is seen to be supposed to be the biggest opposition party in the country, and it's just falling apart right before our eyes.
Totally, totally. Vanguard, we'll just read a couple of headlines. Wike declares end to Rivers crisis. And then ADC Coalition Alliance of Displaced Politicians, according to the government. Then we have Daily Sun. Daily Sun here, APC convenes South-South Summit in Edo State and presidency ministers rail against ADC coalition. There was that story in Daily Independent which we didn't get to. He was talking about Wike, where he said that his children have a right, or his kids have the right to own lands in Abuja as well, because there was that controversy, you know. But he said it has to pass due process. Okay. To the international headlines, the Citizen newspaper, we can't help. This is a very interesting story that most Nigerians might find awkward. There are threats to the public in South Africa for putting up solar systems due to regular power supply. Eskom, the energy company, is requiring homeowners doing such to register their panels or face potential penalties. They said this is all for safety and grid stability concerns. Yeah. Very odd. Well, I guess that is your law there. And then to Trump and America, his big, beautiful bill has passed. Yeah, there's a lot of protest on that. I wonder if Elon Musk will set up that political party to dethrone some of the Republicans who he said supported the bill. Comments on this quickly, please, anybody?
Trump's a big, beautiful bill. Not because of its size or because of its beauty, but because of the controversy that has trailed it. For instance, it has split the Congress, that's the Senate and the House of Representatives, right down the middle. As a matter of fact, at some point it seemed as if it wasn't going to be passed because, you know, lots of Republicans were also not very much in support of it. I mean, it's a real capitalist bill. You know, supporting big business mostly, and then of course cutting down on welfare, you know, for the less privileged and probably aid and health. Medicaid, exactly. So what was supposed to be for the benefit of, you know, the lower placed Americans, this time around the advantage is swinging the other way. So yeah, it's very, very much in consonance with Donald Trump's personality as a businessman.
And it will balloon the budget deficit, trillions in the next 10 years, they say. And then the UK papers are dominated today with the death of football star Diogo Jota, who was killed in a car crash with his brother, devastating for many. The Sun leads with a football has lost a champion, with a photo of his wife and 3 kids. They got married quite recently. It's so sad. We also have that in the Daily Mirror, which led with the same another photo of the wedding of Diego and his wife and their beautiful children. It goes on and on. The Times also has it. The Daily Mail has the same story, and so sad. And any football fan wants to make a comment before we wrap it up?
Not exactly about, the football world has actually lost a major star. But what it reminds me about is the way, the way and manner in which he died in a supercar, driving at high speed, tire blowout. It reminds me of what happened to another major global star 11 years ago, Paul Walker, the actor, also, you know, Fast and Furious, driving at high. He wasn't actually driving, it was his friend who was driving, and then, you know, the car somersaulted, exploded into a ball of fire, and then 11 years later, it's another global star dying in a car accident. I think it's one too many.
Yeah, may his soul rest in peace, and very tragic. On that note, Samuel O'Dowd, who is the deputy editor of Blueprint newspaper, it's been a pleasure having you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and see you again soon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Constance Chikuku. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday, bright and early. That's all the time we have for you on Daybreak. It's goodbye from me. I'm Kechi Nana.
Keep it locked on Arise News. The morning show is up next. I'm Charles Eruka. It's goodbye from me.